Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my October 2020 book haul. It's now November and it's getting cold in the DC area. I should probably do something with the condo temps, but anyway, I got a hodgepodge of books to share, so let's get to it. The first book I'll talk about is The Unspoken Name by A.K. Larkwood, which I was not intending to buy. I was intending to read it as an ebook that I got from the library, except that I started it too late and then it went back to the library and I wouldn't have been able to get it back for a while, so I decided to keep going because I wanted to read at least a couple of fantasy books published this year for the GoodReads Choice Awards. And this is epic fantasy with Larkwood firing on all cylinders. She has a lot of detailed information about species, humanoid species. Some have tusks and some have Spock ears. They all worship different types of gods. There seems to be some sort of portal world hopping because some worlds are dead where the gods aren't quite as around anymore. There's remnants of sort of dead people that sometimes come out. There's wizards and mages. There's sacrifice. The story starts with Corsway, who at 14 has been inducted by her religion to be a sacrifice to the Unspoken One, who is a god, but a traveling wizard basically gives her another choice. Like, you don't have to go die for this god. You can, work with me. And they're looking for something called the Reliquacy, which has secret powers that are tied into lore and immortality and that sort of thing. And they're going neck and neck with the librarian from Corsway's temple, actually, who is also interested in finding this artifact. And they run into different characters along the way. They go to different cities to try to find a couple of MacGuffins. And ultimately, Corsway meets up with a woman from another species who is this mage who is about to be tethered to sort of a group of mages where she would lose her own identity, and Corsway kind of sees a similar thing that she dealt with now 8 years ago when she was about to, kill herself for a god, and she's like, you can be an individual and, get out of this religion thing, and there's a romantic relationship that buds up there. So there's a lot going on. I guess I don't necessarily think all of it gelled incredibly well, and maybe I was reading too fast because there's just so many details in the world building, which is impressive on its face, but it can be difficult to remember a lot of it. And the plot moved rather quickly. I kind of questioned a bit like why Corsway and this other woman were so quick to abandon what they grew up with. But it was compelling reading as you go along because of the quick-paced plot, and again, I was impressed by the amount of world building that Larkwood put into this, so I'm glad I gave it a go. The rest of these books I haven't read yet, so I won't be as long-winded, I suppose. I picked up 2 from the library, and one I should really get to reading ASAP because I have a book club meeting coming up, and this is kind of a longer book as well. This is The Inheritance of Loss by Desai. From the back it says it takes place in the Himalayas, I think in an isolated area. There's an embittered judge who only wants to rest in peace, and then his orphaned granddaughter comes to stay, and it's the story of joy and despair, I guess, between these family members. The characters have numerous choices that majestically illuminate the consequences of colonialism as it collides with the modern world. So I'm pretty hopeful that this one will be intriguing to read and talk about. The second book I got from the library is Toni Morrison's Home, which I meant to read in October, but I did not. Alas, I think like a lot of people in Toni Morrison 2020, I have finally fallen off the bandwagon of one Morrison novel per month. I guess I'm not too disappointed. I still think that I will finish this book and her final novel, God Help the Child, before the end of the year, so I'll be good to go there. I certainly want to get to this book in November. And this one seems to go back to mid-20th century to the south. Well, there's native Georgia between a brother and a sister. The brother went off to war. The sister is troubled. Family secrets in the rural areas. A lot of ground that Morrison has tread so well before, and so I'm looking forward to this as well. And finally, Like a lot of people, I think, during coronavirus, I find myself gravitating towards strange or unusual obsessions, or at least ones I wouldn't have thought that I would have, but ended up having anyway. And like all good book lovers, I suppose, I decided to codify that obsession by buying some literature, which turned out to be very easy in this case because my obsession is people, and both of them had a book that came out earlier in the fall. It's the Buttigiegs. This is Chasten Buttigieg, Mayor Pete's husband, who recently put out a memoir about coming out in rural Michigan as a gay man, as a gay teenager, and growing up. But I think it mostly focuses on his adulthood and even a little bit, or a fair bit even, into campaigning on behalf of his husband when the primaries were going on and Pete was in the running for president. And then Pete's book came out a little more recently, and it is more traditional nonfiction where he is looking at the idea of trust and how we need it in American politics, and this is his treatise on the subject. This feels like it'll be more formidable, I guess, to take a deep dive into these books rather than watching a million of their YouTube videos per day. What do you mean? I don't do that. Especially now I have to go to work. Neither of these books are in the opening round running for the GoodReads Choice Awards, but Chasten is aware of the prize, and he's retweeting to see if he can get his followers to vote for his memoir at least. So I'm kind of wondering, because he's pretty popular, as the spouse of a presidential candidate, that maybe he could get in on the next round. Who knows? And who knows if either of these books will make it to consideration for the BookTube prize next year. But I will see when Robert sends out the list of possibilities. And speaking of the BookTube prize, just wrapped up its second year, where members of the BookTube community gathered to judge the best in literary fiction and nonfiction published the year before, which is why the Buttigiegs are eligible, technically, for next year. But anyway, Robert, our founder, is really trying to garner up as much interest as possible so that we can have a wide, diverse array of judges, so that we can get the most conclusive votes in for what we as a community consider to be the best in these categories. And then possibly in future years, if we have enough interest, we might be able to add in new categories like best translated fiction. But for all of that, Robert needs more people to sign up as judges. So if you're interested in expanding your reading and gabbing on like a bunch of geeks with the BookTube community as we go through each of the rounds of a literary prize, well, I have linked down below a video that Robert made about how to sign up as a judge. So check it out. And that about covers it for me now. Speaking of links and GoodReads, I will leave the GoodReads links for all of these books listed down below as well. I should be back in just a few days to post a NaNoWriMo weekly vlog, which is my custom during NaNoWriMo month, where I usually take you around the city to various events that I go to that I can't go to this year, but I figure I can still have some fun and gab about some things as I do some writing. I won't be doing any Friday Reads videos this month, although I haven't been that great with them recently anyway, but I figure another thing I might be able to incorporate into my vlogs is just quick thoughts on whatever I'm reading throughout the month, because obviously reading still needs to be here to stay, no matter what else is going on. So I hope that everyone is happy and safe and well. I hope everyone in the United States has voted or is making a plan tomorrow to vote. And I hope this election peters out more peacefully than the buildup seems to be implying. I don't know if that's too much to ask, but what do you know? I guess time will keep trundling forward. So again, stay safe, everyone. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.